Welcome to episode 31 of Rigor Mortis Paranormal. This is part 2 of our Stories from the Paranormal Fest. I am David. This is Robert, Jasmine, Kory, and Ian.
Hello.
What's up?
That was a handful, man. I heard you struggling.
Yeah, man. Again, I'm just running out of breath, man.
So how many more cast members we're gonna add next week?
Yeah, I know, right? We're gonna have like 40 names next week.
David,
Ian, Jasmine.
With an inhaler in between.
Hold on, oxygen, man.
We're getting there.
Like that all the time.
Getting to that age, man.
Cheap wiggles.
So, as we mentioned before, this is part 2 of our Nightmares of San Antonio Paranormal Fest. All these stories were recorded on September 22nd. We're just finally getting around to getting them out. If you heard episode 30, you'll know we got the first 8 stories out. We got 12 tonight, and that's still, we even got more, but that's all we can fit today because otherwise we have like a 6-hour-long podcast, and we don't want to do that to you guys. But
you know what? Yeah, we did get a couple towards the end that were very, very long.
There's
And
some great stories, man.
Yeah, they are. What do we mean by very? They were like about that. I was running into 13 minutes.
yeah,
like
one was 13, I think the other one was 14, but
Yeah, something
we
like
had
that.
to cut it
They
in
were
half.
both
but-
good.
Yeah, they were good
both
stories.
awesome. We're trying to put those out on another episode, maybe just a regular episode. We've been getting some stories also, and some of the
That's
stuff that
cool.
we got to get back into the groove because
Guys are catching up.
yeah,
that's
and
cool.
and like
Oh my
we
God,
said,
this is two and a half years, and we're on episode 30.
I know, ain't that a
31.
shame?
Oh,
it's
Ain't
31.
that
Get
a
it right.
shame?
Get it right, man.
Hello, this is Robert Limon from Rigor Mortis Paranormal Podcast. Do you ever dream of being rich and famous?
How about being skinny?
Or beautiful? Well, if you dream of these things, submit your story to rigormortisparanormal.com. We can get you there.
You'll have 8 whole listeners at least.
That number is 210-901-8666. And remember, folks, that's a 3-minute call. So if your call goes over 3 minutes, please call back and give us a second call to finish your story. We will edit that bad boy and make it sound like a famous person.
And if you sound like Screech and don't want to leave a call, you can always email us at rigormortisparanormal@gmail.com. Or you can visit our website online at www.rigormortisparanormal.com and click on the Submit a Story button.
Fame and fortune will be coming your way soon.
Cha-ching!
Rigor Mortis Paranormal is not responsible for your financial standings, bankruptcies, foreclosures, plummet in popularity, divorce, impotency, pregnancies, sudden rashes, and possible death. You are guaranteed to be heard by no more than 8 people.
another thing I wanted to bring up too is hopefully we can start getting those photos out.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Yeah, we'd like to get those back on our.
Yeah, the website. Send pictures. Have pictures. We'll post.
Pictures,
Oh, yeah.
video, well,
Yeah, videos too, man.
It doesn't have to be appropriate.
Yeah, they don't have to be.
Appropriate.
Yeah, well,
Ghosts out there,
paranormal pictures, yes, please. Ghost photos, not some like
We don't want no potato pigs. Sorry, I don't know what that's happening.
No, God, girls, yeah. So,
Speaking of potatoes, hey, look, turkey's gone. The lights are going up, and hey,
yeah, Christmas around the corner.
that's
man.
right.
Yeah, and then too, like I know we were talking about it earlier with fishing and stuff that we just missed. We missed all the big reds, man, during
Man,
October.
I know. Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, but hopefully, man, even
You still
during
need to
the,
go.
I don't know, it'd always be cool just to go anytime, man. Even on the cold day to go down there is righteous, man.
Oh man! Speaking of the codes, remember who was with us? And we went one time. You have to go over the ferry, and there's like it's a 7-Eleven or a Circle K. Circle K. As soon as you get off, yeah, right on the other side of the ferry. One time we parked there. I don't remember who was with us, but
It was me, Rob, and you.
I wasn't there on that one.
Yeah, you what?
I was there, but I didn't go to the store with y'all.
well, there was
He
a.
wasn't checking them out.
Who
Well, I know-
was hugging me then?
I
It was you.
I didn't.
It was a David.
That is okay to say you
It's
noticed him.
No, but I would have.
What is who?
Okay.
Okay, well, let's get the let's
I
get
know
the
where
story.
this
Let me
is
get the
going.
story
I know
out.
where this is
Yeah.
going. That's fine.
So there was a skinny dude there. He had like a size 20 or 22 waist, and he was in his 60s.
Oh, wow.
He was like probably in the 60s. He was he was a white old guy, man, just super old. Guy was wearing floss thongs. And what I mean by floss is like, just thongs with it looked like a fishing string just going up his butt.
Make sure you make it the clear fishing string.
It's like some
Bait on the end.
man, I know, and the guy was flamboyant too, man. But everybody that walked in, a la madre, one dude looked,
San
man,
Antonio fisherman.
no, some dude walked in, and as soon as he wasn't shy about it or nothing, but he's just like, a la chingada, and he just looked at him just straight out like that, and everybody was like kind of laughing. You can see people's like shoulders like going up like when they're laughing. behind him. It was crazy. I was like, what the hell, man? This dude was...
It was a summer.
Yeah, it wasn't so. He had nothing but chanclas and some floss on. That's it, man. And
Wow.
Make sure
It
that
was
you got
crazy.
that even tan, no?
and everybody in the store was like doing double takes.
How
and like,
old was he?
He was like in his 60s probably too. He was an old dude. I know. And then he had like a tan.
I mean, at any age.
Oh, at any age. I know, yeah.
But even worse at 6.
Well, I mean, if you come on, man, yeah, if you had like a buff body or something, yeah, I can see why then. But but yeah, come on, man.
No,
I guess
guys,
it's-
So you really wanted to go for the red route?
yeah, now not no more.
Now you want to go for the old man and
for the fishing string. Yeah?
What do you think? It was like 30-pound test?
Oh, God. It might have been, 30-pound test line in, yeah. Oh, that was gross, man.
Why would you roll like that? Was he drunk?
No, he was flamboyant too. He's just like, oh, you guys are just looking at me because you're jealous.
Oh my God, Jesus!
Were you jealous?
It's like, oh God.
A little bit, man.
You know what? That's true. Jealous of his confidence, because good
real.
God, I
Could
could
you ever
not
pull
do
it
that.
off?
Oh man, there's no way.
Being 60, can you imagine my fat ass like that, man? Yeah, just like what you got.
Seriously, yeah. I
You
would
like
never wear
those goods? You like that? Me dropping my keys on purpose, and bending over without bending my knees. Right?
Oh man,
Just
that's one thing I'm glad
didn't know I
that guy
could bend
did.
over like that, did you?
I'm glad that guy didn't drop his keys either. That'd be horrible, man.
Oh my God!
And like, there's some ladies there too, like covering
So you
their
went
kids'
right,
eyes
like-
and like.
Oh, that's worse, man. The
don't think
kid's
so.
like, why is he
Yeah.
like that?
It's like, there's kids in here too. This man's being disrespectful, getting mad and stuff. Like,
I figured he'd be on one of them like rental electric scooters or something.
I don't know. Oh, they didn't have them back then, and this is a few years back. It's probably, I don't know, 15 years ago probably. It's been a little while.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
And you'll never catch me doing that. I will never wear chanclas outside of the house.
How about a thong? How about a thong?
I won't do that either. But
Like the thong I wear, but not the chocolates.
He was like, please, get to the problem.
You see, that confuses me because my parents used to call chunkless thongs because my parents were white and it's like.
Really? Is that what y'all call chocolates? Thongs, really?
I mean, they don't know what the hell a chocolate is. It's like
I heard them called flip-flops.
flip flops too.
You know, but
Shower
Washington,
shoes,
shower
where I'm from
shoes.
in Washington, like
Yeah.
sodas pop.
yeah, that's
Chocolates
true.
are thongs.
Really?
You go
I
there
didn't
and
know that,
like,
man.
Give me my thongs. And
So we're probably
what?
confusing people that hear us up north right now.
Yeah, it's like,
Maybe.
why are they making fun of those shoes?
She has 3 pairs of thongs.
Well, thongs down here in the south are
That's
it's
what
a
you
bathing
think it
suit.
is.
G-string.
Yeah, G-string bathing suits, really, the real
Nobody
tiny
does
ones.
not know what a thong is.
I didn't until I moved down here.
You're so full of crap.
I was also in 3rd grade.
You know, you
when I
might be
moved
right,
down
because Pop, I was like, Pop, I was like, well, that's what we call people's dads, But they're like, no, it's a drink, I didn't know that till...
When they first asked me what kind of soda I wanted here, what kind of Coke do you want? I was like, I don't want Coke.
Yeah.
Like, I want Dr. Pepper.
You're like, wait a minute, you're gonna give me some?
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper, yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Hey, should we get to our stories, man? Just
Until we
Where you
keep
going?
name right. We were lost for a little bit there, but yeah, we actually, man, we got a whole bunch on this time.
Yeah, we
too.
got 12 stories.
It's gonna be
Louise.
pretty cool, man. I mean,
They're
and then
good
we still
stuff.
got a little bit that we didn't get to put on here.
you'll get them.
Yes, we'll make sure they're out. Another thing too, hopefully we can get these guys and let them know that they're gonna. We'll let them find out the hard way. I'm gonna edit all this anyway, but
Yeah, if we can email them, if we can find their emails, we'll let them know.
yeah. Okay, that being said,
We'll get to the first story.
Enjoy.
Coming in at number 1, a haunting at Waverly Hills.
My name's Brian. I've lived in San Antonio for the past 20 years, but I'm originally from a small town in Kentucky. I've always believed in the paranormal in one way or the other, and one of my dreams was always to visit the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. This past July, I was able to visit it. We were doing a daytime tour just to get the history of the place before we did a complete overnight stay and investigation. The facility is very strict, no antagonizing, no provoking spirits, not trying to get anything angry. They believe that the Waverly Hills Sanatorium was a place of peace, a place of healing, even with the thousands of deaths that occurred there. Towards the end of the daytime tour, which was right as it was dusk, we began walking and trying to catch shadow apparitions down the 3rd floor hallway. After a few minutes, there wasn't really anything going on. My wife had walked down to be alone to try to see if there was anything available or anything showing. Nothing was there. Next thing we hear is a monumental scream from a lady, and we witnessed a rubber ball come rolling from one room across the hallway, all the way across the floor, over some bumps where there was some tile left, into a patient's bathroom and into their room. The lady was very inconsolable. One of the guides tried to calm her down, say, hey, we're on a mountaintop, it's probably a breeze, even though there's wind. At that time, we witnessed the ball roll back across the hallway, stop square in the middle like it ran against a wall. And there was several of us that witnessed it. We later investigated. Even at that time, we were investigating. The guide was trying to say, it's got to be wind, it's okay. That works one direction. That doesn't work both direction and cause the ball to stop. A little bit later that night, we actually began our investigations. We had our K2 meters, we had infrared cameras, spirit boxes, fully loaded down. We were doing our best. And the history of Waverly Hills Sanatorium, the 4th and the 5th floors are the most haunted. The 5th floor is legendary room 502, but I had an experience on the 4th floor. That is where the lone operating room was for the facility. And if you know what tuberculosis is, it is basically a massive case of the flu or pneumonia. It fills your lungs with infection and fluid. Some of it's skin-based, but most of it's in the lungs. So the surgical procedures that would take place at Waverly Hills would be, the first one would be to remove the lower 2 ribs to give the lungs space. The last phase would be to crack the entire rib chest open to allow the lungs and their infection to expand. It was very cruel, but it did save lives. We started our investigation on the 4th floor because we wanted to really get a feel and a sense of the operating room. Did several EVP sessions, several recordings. I started feeling really bad. I couldn't breathe. Tried to take the stairs. I couldn't breathe. I was huffing, I was puffing. I was hearing things. My wife, she had the meter, and there's no electrical wiring in the building. There's no copper in the building. We've done this long enough where we know our cell phones were off to make sure that there was no interference from the meters. Anytime she got the meter next to me, it would redline. I didn't have a watch on. I had nothing. It would redline. I'm on the balcony. I can't breathe. I feel like I feel like somebody is pushing in on my ribs and crushing my ribs. It's horrifying. And it got so bad that we actually had to get permission to be let out of the building, which is locked once you're inside. We got to our vehicle, left. Once we left the property line of the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, I started vomiting fluid out of my lungs for about 20 minutes and was fine. I truly believe in my heart that there was an entity there that did not wish me harm, but wanted me to experience what it was like to suffer with tuberculosis. And so I was never angry, but I truly believe that something did want to share that with me.
Coming at you with number 2, a spiritual interaction on the USS Lexington.
My name is Rachel. I've lived in San Antonio since I was 6 years old. I believed in the paranormal for a very long time, but I've never been quite ready to go and face it. So my husband decided that it would be a good thing for me to do. About a year ago on Valentine's Day, he thought it would be cool for us to do an overnight on the Lexington with the Kling brothers. We went with them. We got some things here and there. We got some good EVPs, but we really wanted to go down into the barracks where they would keep the soldiers or the Navy men who would not be doing what they were supposed to be doing at the time. We got the tour guide to take us down there. It was pretty much pitch black except for what you had on you as far as light went. I walked into one of the barrack areas and I shut the door and I started talking. I said, when they put you in here and only gave you bread and water, did you deserve it, or was it something that you were set up for? Were you okay with that? And the door kind of slammed shut, like opened a little bit and slammed shut again like someone came in. I was surprised I didn't jump, but I was a little bit nervous, realizing that the door shouldn't have opened like that and it shouldn't have slammed like that. Next thing I hear over my little recorder is, "I deserved it." And I thought, okay. I said, well, did you at least learn your lesson, from it? Is there anything you want to tell me why you did it? And it said, "Just stay." And so I sat down thinking I just wanted to talk, and the next thing I felt was someone brushing the back of my neck and going down my back with their fingertips. Stood up right away, said, "Nope, not playing this game," walked out, and it said, "No." I said, "Stay." And I said, "I don't think my husband would be very happy with me staying in the room with you." And "I don't care what your husband thinks." And that was the end of it. And I told the tour guide, "I need to go. Like, this isn't okay." Went back up, got back up to the top. They have a bathroom on the one side of the ship, and it's one large room. Went in there to go to the bathroom, and when I was in there, the light turned off, and there was no one else in there with me. It's one stall. You have the door only to the outside, and the light switch is on the other side by the door, so I couldn't have reached it. Went back over, turned on the light, went back to go to the bathroom, and the light turned off again. And I said, "This isn't very nice." I said, "Now I understand why they put you in the brig," and the light turned back on. And I told my husband, I said, "Okay," I said, "We're good. We can go now." And I don't think he was trying to be mean or scary or anything like that. I just think because I was interested in why he did it, he didn't want to be seen as a bad person for whatever he did, but he still wanted to communicate with me for some reason. So that was my first full-on experience with the paranormal, and I've been excited to get more involved and do more things since then.
Number 3, a smoky ghost scares 3 little girls.
My name is Rachel. I'm from San Antonio, grew up in the Woodlawn area. Back in probably the early 1980s, my neighbor across the street was one of our best friends. So my sister, me and her would play out front. And my neighbor's house, if you look from the front, you could see they had a glass door, and you can see all the way straight to the backyard because they had another glass door in the back. So we were out front playing in the street, and we remember her standing at the end of the long sidewalk, kind of like she was in shock, looking in, and there was a man in there. She said, "There's a man inside." So back in the days, we didn't lock our doors, so we thought maybe someone had gotten in, but we had been outside the whole time. So me and my sister walked over to go see what she was looking at, and we also saw a man. We couldn't make out his face, and it was the black silhouette. He was wearing a hat, like a fedora, and so what we did is we ran immediately across the street to go get an adult, which was my mom. So when my mom went in to check, we were behind her, and she checked the whole house, and there was no one in there. But when we got to the kitchen where we saw the man, there was a lot of black smoke, and it smelled like sulfur, kind of when you light a match. It was just all over, which was pretty creepy, because how could 3 young girls, we were probably about 10 or so, and we all saw the same thing, but there was nobody there, and then you saw all the smoke. It was just total, kind of like a soot smoke.
Number 4, the shadow person darts across the room in the night.
Hi, I'm Steven from San Antonio, Texas. I was with an ex. We're getting ready for bed, and she just had a new little pup. A couple months, maybe about a month old, would make a mess inside. So we'd put her in the bathroom. So she would scratch and claw trying to get out. So So that night, we're getting ready for bed. She's scratching and clawing. We hear the door to the bathroom open, and we saw a shadow run across the room. I thought I was the only one that saw it, but she turned and looked at me and said, "Did you?" I was thinking that damn dog, opened the door, got out. I got up, I opened the door, turned on the light to the bathroom. The dog's still there, looking at me like, okay, what's going on? So, next thing you know, I'm grabbing holy water, I'm spraying the house, like, whatever the hell it is, get the hell out.
Okinawa, Japan. Ghost of the house.
Her lips are moving.
Wrong.
Differently, right?
She's talking, but her lips are like moving still, like Okinawa, Japan. Ghost of the house.
Why?
Like Jazz. That sounds weird.
Jazz?
That's creepy. What are you doing?
Hi everyone, this is Kara. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and my story, oh gosh, it happened a long time ago. So when I was younger, and when I mean by younger, I mean elementary age, second grade, we lived in Japan. Not the main island, actually Okinawa, Japan, which is a small island off the coast of the mainland. We moved there because my dad was in the military. We lived there for 4 years, and for 3 years, we actually had a spirit that lived in our house. First time we noticed it was actually hearing the sounds, not just anywhere in the house, just in one specific room, and that was our playroom. So we thought it was a child because things would get moved and you'd hear things go off in the middle of the night, like those fire trucks, the alarm sounds, Furbies talking to each other and things like that. And even our dogs, we had 2, and if anybody knows anything about spirits, dogs are pretty in tune with not wanting to go somewhere where there's an uncomfortable feeling. Our dogs never went in there once the sun set. They pretty much avoided that room until the next morning, until you can see the light going and stuff like that. Well, one night, I got up in the middle of the night because I had to go to the restroom, like anybody does, and I'd gotten off our bunk bed and I walked outside and I just felt like something was staring at me. And I looked and turned around, and at the end of the hallway was a tall, dark shadow. It was a man, a young man, probably in his early 20s. And he just stopped and he looked, and we just stood and stared at each other for a bit. And I think when he was done looking, he just kind of turned back around, because at first it looked like he was headed down our stairs, but it's like he changed his mind, and he just turned back around and went into our playroom and started playing again. And I didn't need to go to the restroom, so I went back to bed. I only had ever seen him like a handful of times after that. He never tried to do anything. He would just stare at you. He'd acknowledge your presence and then go back to the playroom. And ever since then, well, I was more inclined to stay away from the playroom at nighttime. That was his area, and we cohabitated, the family and him. We never looked into who he was, but what we did learn about Okinawa was that it's a haunted island. The Japanese over there believe that because they live on an island, the spirits can't go anywhere, so they roam the island, just kind of all over the place. And that's where he wanted to roam, was on our Kadena Air Force Base. And that is the end of our story.
3 demonic heads are better than 1.
Scarier.
So my name is Cassie, and I'm born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. So I'm a senior, and I go to Our Lady Lake University. I was raised with the school. Both my dad and my grandfather went to school, so I remember being very young and lots of stories. And I remember hearing a lot of ghost stories, like trying to scare the freshmen, but I didn't truly believe them. My sophomore year, I ended up getting a dorm at the school, and I lived in St. Anne's, and I lived there for about 2.5 years. And ever since I was a kid, I would always practice dowsing, and I dabbled in witchcraft before, but I never truly really experienced anything on this level. It was something very minuscule at first, like you felt something in the room. I remember blessing the room with salt and holy water. I remember shadows in the corners. Eventually, by around, I think it was midterms, that's when it started getting very, very intense. Both myself and my roommate, this one's interesting, both myself and my roommate were in the room. We were studying. It was during midterms, and we both kind of instantaneously got really cold. We didn't think much about it. We ended up shutting down our computers and going to bed that night. We were having horrible dreams. I was having horrible nightmares, and I later found out from my roommate she was having horrible nightmares. So we were both tossing and turning. I turned over on my left-hand side, so my bed was in the corner of this room, and when I flipped over, I saw not one but 3 very black, eerie, I can only describe them as very demonic heads, like pull out of the wall. They looked left, they looked right, and then they just like went into the room. They hovered over my room, and then they went into the next dorm room. So that was very eerie. The next day, I have a Scentsy warmer light where you put like wax melts in them, and because we couldn't burn candles at the school, that next day we had that same eerie feeling again, and every single electrical item in the room was going on and off. So the Scentsy light has 3 levels. It was going low, medium, high, low, medium, high. The microwave was turning on and off. I have Christmas fairy lights. They were turning on. Very, very freaky. I got it to the point where I pulled out my old pendulum again, and I started asking just really simple questions. Ended up finding out it was a few sisters. One was like named Sister Anne. There was another one. I couldn't explain the 3 demons though. I don't know what they were, but they really were scary. So.
Coming in at number 7 of our top 12 countdown, Murder-Suicide House of Von Army, Texas.
My name is Melody. I'm from Von Army, Texas. My story is that it always seems that every house that I've been in, it's been haunted in some way. And in Von Army, we had moved to this house. Apparently, I found out later that when our neighbor was telling us that his aunt and uncle used to live there, and his uncle had murdered his wife in the bathroom, and then he took a shotgun and he shot himself out in the yard. And we found those out months later because I was kind of skeptical about it, but at this point, my mom's seen so much paranormal stuff, I'm like, you gotta believe. And so when we moved into this house, it seemed peachy keen and stuff, and I had gone off to college, but my mom, she would call me and she would tell me that she's hearing like these whispers in the hallway at night. There's like this glass door that closes between her room, my parents' room, and the living room. She'll close it, but she'll hear behind the glass door like these whispers, and she'll hear some like soft footsteps, and she feels like they're having a party down there or something. And I was like, Mom, go join them. And then it got to the point where she'd call me and she'd be like, I'd leave the room and the volume on the TV would turn up, and I'm like, oh well, that's terrible, you know. She's like, it's just these ghosts playing pranks on me. And then I had come home for a weekend because my parents always wanted me to come home, be around and stuff. And so I did. And she came to me one morning and she's like, did you come to the room last night? Did you need anything? And I was like, no, because I would stay up at night because I didn't really like, you know, like my mom would hear these voices and stuff and I'd be like shaking in the living room because my brother would get the room since I moved out to college. So I'd be laying there in the darkness like, please don't get me. And she was like, well, someone opened the door and peeked in, and we're just kind of standing there for a second, and just closed the door after a while. And then I was like, well, that wasn't me. And then after that, she said that someone got in her face and almost tugged her hair. And my dad, he's kind of heavy set, and my mom's very petite, and he was very skeptical at first. He's like, nah, it's just the imagination or whatever, the trick of the mind. And so he kind of got shaken up when his bed started shaking, and he was telling me in the morning during breakfast, and he was like, I know for sure your mom's too weak, you know, to shake the bed, especially at my weight. And he was kind of like, oh, what's going to happen next? And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then I would go back to college, so I didn't get to experience that much stuff. Then my brother was the one next. He's hit our room. It's the one with the bathroom that the uncle shot his wife in. And so he had called me one day, and he's like shaking up, and he's like, someone was standing at the edge of my bed. And I asked Mom and Dad, and it was neither of them. And I was like, what? Are you sure? And he's like, yeah. It was just standing there. I got so freaked out. I just grabbed my phone and started watching YouTube underneath the blanket. And I was like, man. And he kept calling me because he's like, since I was away, he had no one to talk to. And he was telling me, like, he didn't like going to our bathroom because he felt like someone was always standing there. And like if he would keep all the lights off, because if he left the light on, it'd feel like there was a shadow that would probably pop up. He would hear noises in the closet, and sometimes he'd just hold our dog next to him, and he'd just kind of stay up until dawn, kind of thing. And so I had gone home, and I'm just kind of like low-key scared because everyone's experienced something. Now I'm home, like, well, it's my turn next. But luckily, I have my dog. She's like a demon herself. Like, if Cerberus had to face my dog, he'd go for the hills. And like the running joke in my family was that my dog was so tough. She's not afraid of death. Death is afraid of her. That's how like aggressive she was. I mean, she was a good dog, to me at least. But she hated the world. And one night I was just laying in bed, and I finally had gotten to sleep. And then she gets up all of a sudden, and she starts aggressively barking into the hallway. Like, it's dark, and I get up, and I can't see anything. But there she is on the edge of my bed. She looks like she's about to attack something, and I'm just like freaking out. And I'm like, oh God, please protect me. And then I start praying a little bit, hoping it'll go away. And she keeps barking at it. And then my mom starts getting up, turning on the lights, and that's when she starts when she turns on a light that flashes into the hallway where she's barking into, that's when she starts calming down. She starts backing up, and then she gets back into bed. And there I am, just crying inside. And then I go back to college. The only thing I see next after a next visit was the closest I ever got to see anything in that house was I saw a small shadow move the corner, and I thought it was my dog, and I'm like, where are you going? And then no, she just creeps up behind me, and I'm like, wait a minute, if you're there, then who went the corner? And then after a while, my mom and my dad got fed up with like these strange things happening. And so they got some holy water, and they blessed the house. They had someone, like a priest, bless the yard, because my mom, she had seen once, she was just up late at night, and she looked out of the porch, and she like screamed, and because she saw like a man kind of like beat up and decayed on the porch, and she was like, it's probably like the man who shot himself, kind of thing. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then after the house was blessed, my mom and my dad and my brother, like nothing really happened there. My dog passed away, and our other dog had ran away, but still like nothing, like there was a cat left, but nothing really like irked him and stuff. So I think the house is cleansed. At least that's how it seems. And that's my story.
Coming in at number 8. 2 girls chased by their doppelgangers in
San Luis Potosi, Mexico. I'm Mori, and I was born in San Luis Potosi, Mexico. My story is set in San Luis Potosi when I visited about when I was, I think I was about 8 or 7. I was playing with my cousin in the living room, and my cousin and I, though we didn't spend enough time together as we would have liked to, we had a pretty deep connection, and we told each other almost everything. Anyway, we decided to head to a room and continue playing there since it started getting chilly out, and since there was no AC and the house we had was basically made of cement, you could feel the draft coming in. So we went under the covers and we exchanged secrets and stories, and we had wondered about where her adoptive mother was at. We hadn't heard from her in a while, and as small children, we were concerned as to where our guardian was at. So we got up off the bed, and she didn't have a door. She just had a curtain over the doorway. And we peeked through, and sitting in the living room, we saw us. Oh, they looked like us. They were a little younger, surprisingly, and devoid of color. And I thought I'd been dreaming, or that, like, I was imagining something. When I turned to look at her, she was staring at the same thing I was. And the people, us, they looked back at us with these, like, gaunted eyes, and we were terrified. And as soon as we, like, made motion to hide back under the covers, they got up and started coming after us, and we were terrified out of our minds and ran back into her bed and hid under the covers, just praying that our Mamaricha would arrive soon. And we fell asleep. After we woke up, we decided to investigate back out in the living room, and we didn't see them there, so we decided to look out the front door and look for her mother. And she came inside with a bucket of water and asked us why we were so scared. And we tried to tell her the story, but she passed it off as our imagination. And the story's been with me since. She's dead now, but it's one of my strongest memories of her.
And at number 9, a super short story of a tall hooded figure.
Okay, I'm Nikki, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and I have quite a few stories, but the one that people seem to react more to is the one of the hooded figure. So every house I've ever lived in has been haunted, but this latest one is the one with the most activity. When I was a kid, I was sleeping and I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw this hooded figure staring down at me. And and it was the most terrifying thing. Being raised around a lot of paranormal activity, usually I just kind of shrug it off. But I just remember being so scared, a chill going through me. And the only thing I could do was hide under my covers and hope and pray it would go away. And I eventually fell asleep. This is the one that scares the most people. And my current roommate actually has seen something very similar to this hooded figure, but in a reflection of her TV, and there was no people there. And that's my story.
Number 10. This story comes to us from Drunken Jennifer, Grandma Shoes.
My name is Jennifer Marie, and this story is a visit from my great-grandmother. One day when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I was sitting in my grandmother's room, and we were watching TV with me and my sisters and my cousins, and I was real small, and my Aunt Cecilia wasn't there. She was out away, and the door was closed, and all of a sudden I looked, and when I saw the bathroom light was on, I saw a shadow under the door, and I could see footsteps moving like if it was a shoe. And I learned later that my great-grandmother died in the house. And then years later, when I was about 9 years old, I saw a picture of my great-grandmother. I looked at the shoes, and those were the shoe shapes that I saw when I saw her ghost at the house.
Mallory, the freeloading Atascosa County hitchhiker ghost.
Okay, my name's Olivia Marquise, and this is called Mallory. So one of my ex-boyfriends lived in Atascosa, and I lived in San Antonio, and I would drive to go see him. And often I would come back, it would be really late at night, like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And one day I was coming back, and then just like all of a sudden this apparition appears in the backseat of my car, and she didn't really talk to me, but I felt that like her name was Mallory, and that she was a rape murder victim. And she would like she wasn't try to do anything or anything. She'd just scare me by popping up because I'd look in the back of the rearview mirror and see her. And then later on, like after we had already broken up, about like a year or two later, I was at Starbucks and I heard somebody calling a drink for somebody named Mallory, and it just like sent chills down my spine. And I looked up, and it really freaked me out. But it reminded me of her, and I haven't seen her since I broke up with him, since I've been in Atascosa. But whenever I would go there, she'd pop up in the back seat and just keep me company.
Ghosts, come out to play. Ghosts, come out to play. Ghosts, come out to play.
Number 12. Ghosts play in the Toy Aisle of K-Mart.
Oh shit, I broke it.
My name is Martin. Back in the day when Kmart used to be around, I used to work at the Kmart that was downtown where the SAPD station is now at. I actually used to work the grave night, the overnight shift. So, so it wasn't too bad. They had already told me, the overnight people had told me there was stuff going on. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Didn't really believe it. As I worked during the night, they keep telling me stuff that had happened in the back room, in the restrooms, the toy section, electronics section. From what they were telling me is that the toy section was the most active part. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I never worked the toy section, but I was like, all right, cool. Well, I eventually had to work a night alone with only one other person in the building. Middle of winter. I want to say it was like maybe November, December. I was the only one with the manager who was asleep in the office. So I had to do the toy section. Okay, all right, cool, not too bad. I can do this. So I'm working throughout the night, and I start hearing my name. Like, and I thought it was the manager. So it's kind of like, okay, cool. I look around. I didn't probably just hearing things, no problem. Or he's on the other side of the building trying to find me. As I went through the night, I kept hearing it. I caught something, off the corner of my eye, but I didn't think too much of it. And again, it was overnight, or whatever. And I started thinking about what they were saying. I was like, kind of shaking it off, like, no, doesn't happen. At about middle of the night, I was really starting to work the toy section, and that was the cheap, like $1, $2 toys that they had on the peg shelf. And finished it, moved on, and I hear some of the electronic toys come on, and I hear them, and it's kind of like, well, that's a little weird. Like, I just left that aisle. Then I didn't think much about it. It's downtown. My logical explanation was, it could be a rat. There are rats or mice. So, okay, cool. I let it go, and then it turns off. So, okay, cool. That's probably all it was. I hear it again, like a few seconds later. It was a different toy on that same aisle. So I'm like, okay, it's getting a little weird. That's the same, it's got to be a mouse or mice. So keep working. Eventually, I start hearing it more and more. So okay, let me go check. Might just scare off these mice or whatever. So I come back to the aisle and I can hear the toy. It was like a Barbie toy, and I can hear it. And it was one in the front. So I was like, okay, cool. Moved it. It turned off. All right, cool. I then started walking away with that toy in my hand, and the one behind it started going off. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? All right. So then I'm just kind of standing there like, okay, trying to keep myself calm, like there's got to be a logical explanation. And I keep looking at the second toy and it turns off, but then the one next to it turns on. I'm like, okay, that's got to be a rat. It's not. Because then like 2 seconds later, the toys on the other end of the aisle started going off. So I'm like, I go in and like check those out. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, that's weird. I'm kind of done with this aisle. Like, I'm done. Bye. As I start walking back towards the main walkway, I hear another toy turn on. I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me go to the bottom of this. I crouched down to there's like the second shelf toward the bottom, and I start kind of moving the box of the toys around, just trying to see if I can scare it. Well, being as it was winter, I had a long sleeve on, and I had cut a hole in it, kind of stuck my thumb through it, so it was like I covered my wrist. Like, all right, cool. I'm moving these toys, and one of them goes off, and at the same time, I feel like a really cold, like, hand just grabbed my wrist, and it was kind of like, that's not normal. I know that's not normal. And at the same, like, I just feeling that, like, every hair on my body just kind of stood up on end, and I just let go of the toy. It's like, okay, I got up. I still feel the hand, like the cold hand on my wrist, and I kind of like, okay, like, take it off. Like, okay, no, I'm done. Bye. Like, I walked away, and I actually had to go to the front of the store. I was like, no, I am not dealing with that, because as I was walking away, I heard more toys going off down that same aisle, and I just kind of like started hearing giggling. So I was like, nope, I'm out. Come morning time, the morning crew started coming in, and the people that were working the toy section were just like, hey, why are all the toys still on the floor? Like, it's haunted. I'm not doing that. Yeah. I was like, did you hear giggling? I was like, yeah. Well, I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's cool. That happened. After that was really the only thing I experienced while I was there at K-Mart. I know a couple other people experienced the same things in that actual aisle. Yeah. But I never was like, nope, I'm not going back. Yeah, I don't blame you. The second one that I've ever had, about maybe 7-8 years ago, and I found out I was diabetic because I ended up getting really sick, having to be hospitalized. Yeah. I was in the hospital for a whole week. Finally, I was released. Like, they're like, all right, you can live, you're good. We went back to the apartment, and the thing is, at the apartment, me and my boyfriend are already, like, been in there for a while. We kept smelling different smells that we couldn't place, like lavender, men's cologne, and the way our apartment was set up, there was a closet in the middle between the living room and the bedroom that no matter how hard we tried, it would never stay closed. So in the middle of the night, you could just hear the creak of it opening. It's like, no, I made sure I closed it. And it was like that for a while. We never really played it, gave much thought. So now fast forward back to me going back home. The first day there, back, since the hospital visit, and I was really tired. So I was like, I'm going to call it a night. Boyfriend was watching TV. I told him, like, I'm going to bed. He's like, okay, cool. I'll be there in a bit. Okay. So I go to sleep. I wake up in the middle, like, I don't even know what time it was. I just wake up because I felt somebody was like watching me. So I just kind of woke up like, okay, what's going on? I look at the door, we slept with the door open, and I swear somebody was standing there. Well, like full figure, like you saw it. I saw it, like, okay, I am not imagining this. And I started panicking because like the light, everything turned off. I see this like figure, and I moved my arm, and I felt him sleep already in bed. I'm like, holy crap, who the hell was this? And why are they just standing there? Like, oh crap. So it's like, so I close my eyes, and I'm like trying to calm myself back down, like, because at this point I can feel my heart just beating really hard. And I open my eyes, it's gone. Like, okay, cool, maybe I was maybe just imagining it. Yeah. But the room felt different. It felt like heavy. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Something like I'm freaking out, but I'm trying not to like panic. Just kind of like, okay, calm down. There's got to be an explanation for this. Next thing I know, I feel like an arm just kind of go over my chest, not from my right, where my boyfriend's sleeping, from my left, where there's nothing. Like, the only thing next to me is the dresser. And at that point, it's just like, I feel it, and it's pushing down on my chest. I'm like really starting to freak out. And I finally am like, I start nudging him, like, wait, like kind of like freaking out. And as soon as he wakes up, it's just kind of like, that pressure on my chest goes away, and the room starts feeling light again. Yeah, and I mean, I told him what happened, and he's like, you were probably dreaming. Like, no, that's not a dream. I knew I was awake. Like, I woke up. Like, I did the little kid thing and just pulled the blanket further up and up on me. But then the whole arm on me just kind of really did it. And I'm like, okay, no, there's something going on. Like, I'm freaking out. I think we moved out a few months after that. But those are really my only two experiences.
And that, my friends, is 12 Stories of Bliss. Those are good stories. That's 95% of the stories that we got already.
Yeah.
We finally got to put them out. Well, not finally. I guess that was pretty good. We did that, in 3 months?
Yeah, it has been almost
9 days.
Yeah.
Well, we should be getting, okay, I think we got another one, and it's pretty long, but it's pretty awesome. The one that Kory picked up on his phone. So we'll put that one on another episode, I guess on a regular podcast.
Yeah, which is coming up now. We're going to go back to our regular podcasting after this. So.
A couple here that we couldn't use.
Go ahead, you can spit it out, Rob.
No, it's just
I hurt anyone's feelings.
They were awesome. They were awesome, but one was about Southern cooking recipes. I don't know why we got that one, and so we dropped a couple. So we apologize, and we hope we don't discourage anybody else. But, hey, we love all the stories. I just don't know where we're gonna use it. I mean, I personally saved that one. The recipe was pretty good, but I mean, hey, it's not on the podcast, man.
Is that what you made for Thanksgiving?
This is for my second podcast.
Yeah, but it was a ripoff from Paula Deen. And
I guess we should have mentioned.
Yeah, just slather it with 12 gallons of butter on an 8-pound turkey. I'm like, you got more butter than turkey. It's just floating. We call this the floating turkey.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna inject it with 8 pounds of butter.
We take the name literal, Butterball.
Yeah. It became 18 pounds. I'm covered. But when you eat, that's something I can't get into.
Have you seen that? There ain't no such thing as buttergum, Mama.
see
I gotta
that.
watch it.
I did see that one. I know what you're talking about. Paula Dean.
When she writes her notes on the butter wrapper.
Well, serious, man. Yeah. We had to buy a defibrillator for that Thanksgiving. Oh man. Anyway, yeah. But seriously, you all right, fella? But yeah. Definitely though, keep them coming. We actually got some on the back burner, so we're hoping to come back real soon with the regular podcast. Can't wait to get to those. Ian's coming back with his Hopers and Thoughts. Can't wait for that.
I know.
Yeah, that one.
And we got an Uber story too. So
Uber. Oh man,
we're going good.
So we can hardly wait, man. If this one comes out during Christmas, well, Merry Christmas, fellas.
There you go.
And if y'all do
Kwanzaa
and all the good stuff, man. Yeah, and we're still. I think we're still pushing those pictures, right?
Yeah, definitely. Send pictures, man. You guys got pictures? Send them our way. Videos.
Paranormal pictures.
If they're normal.
Not not some.
Let's be clear.
Yeah, not your.
You know, it should have been more.
Like, fucking, what's that? The gag and bound?
No, yeah, big hairy guy with a gag ball, right? Leathers. Yeah. Assless chaps. You said send pictures. No, not of your. What do you call that? Your profile from your Tinder. We're actually just talking about paranormal stories. And squashers. Yes. Please send them in.
To your personal email?
I'll give that for that.
I guess we should have. What? Furries? I don't know.
You're into some other shit.
No, because he's right. Because there is.
I saw on TV the other day, man.
What there was one.
Well, he hasn't stopped talking about furries.
Oh, sweet Jesus! Yeah.
Is it called furries?
Well, back in the day, it was the Gentle Bears of Utah, and there were these huge, fat, hairy guys, man, and they were buck naked, man. But they had like the kindest looking face. I did see that.
I think I
did see that.
And you did not turn away.
Just out of curiosity. Yeah, it was so fucking funny though. But these guys, yeah, they were like those guys that you would invite for a cup of coffee, man. But with clothes.
They had their hair parted to the side and everything. They're all like wholesome.
Disgusting, man. Man, I don't know whose job it was to take those photos. But they had this one guy, and he was huge, man. And he was
How many photos did you see?
Several. Where do you think we get our material from?
Yeah, you use it for material purpose.
Yes, for material purpose only, yeah.
Air quotes.
There's our air quotes. You missed out on that one. You should have said air quotes. Jasmine was doing air quotes. I gotta say this, man, because it's disgusting. But, it's like kind of like, you can't stop looking at it like, wow, why would you pose for that?
Right?
Well, no, it was disgusting.
It was interesting because he kept watching.
Yes, I did see it. Yes. I don't know who's taking the pictures though. And as long as I apologize, man, but it is gonna get graphic, man. There's a guy. He's like maybe 350, man. His hair is like feathered. Does look good. He had the beard and all that, but he had like a pot belly that was hard, like beer belly, like you're not gonna. But he's sitting and he's got this like rowdy smile, like he looks like a good guy. Like that's my boy right there. That's Ben. That's my boy, right? So, but he's sitting in a canoe and he's on and it's in a nice river. It's a nice river, but the guy he's buck naked and he's got hair on his butt, his chest, and his back. But he's sitting forward. And like he's got his legs like wide open and he's rowing, and I don't know who's taking the picture, but like whose job is that? Like, hey, I got an assignment for you today, my friend.
That's cool. The scenery is really nice.
Around it was though, man. That river looked nice, man. It had the mountains and everything.
Where do you find that canoe?
You know what, the canoe? Yeah, it was weird because the front part was kind of looking. It was like looking down. Like the bottom part was heavy and the guy. I don't know how he got around there though.
Had 4 stacks. Titanic.
It just looked like a canoe.
How did we get there, man?
You really want to
I'm the one who brought that up, right? No, it's because of Kory's furries. So I imagine it's the same thing. I guess now they're called furries, but back in the day they were gentle bears.
So furries are when you actually dress up like
mascots.
No, like you.
That's what they look like.
Well, like you actually, like you dress up like dogs. That's your fetish. So you dress up like cats.
I don't know. I haven't gotten into it.
Oh, really? That's a new one on me, man. GentleBearsOfUtah.com. So. Why am I pushing that one?
Are we being sponsored? Or?
Hey, we mentioned
you better push out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the guy like it.
So, if you guys want to leave a story.
Oh, yes, please.
Hey, paranormal story.
Yeah, paranormal story.
You know what?
Or a recipe.
Let's leave the door open.
Yeah, let's leave the door open on that one. You never know.
We might air it, man. Well, we just cut that other guy with the whatchamacallit, but yeah, he's gonna be. Well, y'all couldn't do my fucking recipe, but you could have these butt naked 455 hairy guys on there, but not my recipe. But yeah, seriously, folks, please, we do want those stories, and if y'all want to call in the stories, which would be awesome, please call in at 210-901-8666. And remember, folks, that is a 3-minute call. So make sure that if you go over the 3 minutes, that you call back and let us know that's part 2 of your story that you're telling. And if you're a little shy, you don't want to do that, what is that email address? Email.
Yeah, you got it. Email.
It is, yeah.
Email address, you're right.
Yeah.
That is one beer too many. Yeah, so if you're shy, you sound like RuPaul or something. Well, RuPaul actually sounds nice, but...
I can't do it. It's got actually
at least I
nice
think.
voice.
I don't know. But
RuPaul's gonna get...
Anyway, if you want to email your... If you want to email your story, it's rigormortisparanormal@gmail.com, or you can visit our website, rigormortisparanormal.com, and there's a little button there that says submit a story. You can click on that, and there's a form. You can just fill out the story there, and your story will come to us, and we'll put it on the air. Another thing also, Patreon. We really could use money. If you saw
we're starting to beg now. We're just asking now. We're like pleading now, please, guys.
What's the deal with the...
Refurbished laptops, please.
Or refurbished laptops.
One's with batteries.
Well, the one, like, right now, what we're recording out of Robert's laptop is...
made out of stone.
We have to watch where we walk because... we have to watch where we walk because it's plugged into the wall. If you walk past him and you unplug it, it's gone because there's no battery in this thing.
So, that reminds me, I gotta save this shit.
And you have to hit save every few seconds because you can catch us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/rigormortisparanormal. We're on Instagram.com now too, which is Instagram.com/rigormortisparanormal. And of course we're on Facebook and Twitter, and I guess that's Instagram, Tinder, Stitcher.
We'll send you monthly photos of where your money goes to.
Yeah. Actually, there's a whole bunch of beer bottles and beer cans up here right now, but
I think next time we should start drinking during the podcast than way before, because this one it was
that's about it.
I was gonna say, man, I really want a UFO story.
That'd be awesome.
Or a Bigfoot, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not getting tired of ghosts. I want a little bit more variety.
Yeah, that would be nice. And what's our main daddy? The holy grail of stories. Impossible to get, but we're hoping to get a mummy story, man.
Oh, a mummy story.
If somebody could swing that, I think that's it, man. That we could retire happy people, man. So.
You know, it doesn't have to be a real one. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's gotta be real.
I'm just kidding. It's gotta be a real story.
Yeah, I was in a cave and I just started wiping what I thought was just, bark, but it turned out to be.
I unraveled the scroll. I said something in Latin.
I started reading it and I just heard. That's how the mummy sound, right?
In all movies,
The bad time again.
There used to be 14 commandments. It's like I had to use part of that tablet to wipe. There's only 10 commandments.
Oh, that's edited. But anyway, fellas, thank you so much for your stories, and thanks so much for your time, and thanks for being with us. Yeah.
With that, good night.
Bye.
Noches.
Three, two, one, and
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.